This video is actually in reply to a subscriber called Watercat, and they were asking a question about doing a countdown timer and having like a yes no cancel button. So like continue game, yes no, and then 5 4 3 2 1 or whatever the time was. And I thought about replying, and then I thought, well, it would take me longer to write the reply than it would to actually do and edit a video, just because of the formatting of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Or I could put it in gist or that kind of thing. But I figured I could make a video out of it anyway. So that's what this video is doing a countdown in Unity, and I'm going to try and throw a little bit of something fun in. Well, not fun. I mean, it's a countdown. How fun can a countdown be? It's one of those utilitarian things that everyone needs, and you know, it's difficult to sort of sometimes wrap your head around those kind of concepts. Anyway, I'm talking too much about this. Let's go build it. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to create a UI. Now, don't pay too much attention to how this UI looks. I'm not really into making it like look pretty. The whole idea is to give it the sort of functionality that Watercat is looking for. So I'm just going to add a text box here. I'm going to center the text and just say continue game. So we're looking at functionality rather than anything else, and I'm going to make that white, and I'm going to bring that up to there, so it's going to look, oops, scale's all off. So continue game, and then this one here, and then this is going to be the countdown. So this is going to say 10 initially, and then I want to add a button for the yes. And again, I'm not really too bothered about how this looks. Yes, like that, and let me duplicate that, and that one is going to be no. Okay, and I'll just create these things in here. So scenes, continue game. So like everything else, there's about 50,000 bajillion different ways to do this. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use Unity events. So it's a UI. So let's use the Unity event system. And we're going to create our own event system here. So I want to create a folder for my scripts, and this is going to be quit or continue controller, and then I also want a countdown controller. Countdown controller, and that's all I want. That's all I need. And I'm going to switch to here. Okay, so quit or continue controller, and then we want a countdown controller. So our countdown controller is going to have a public text field. Actually, that's the countdown. That's going to be the countdown. And because that's got the text in there, we need to add UI. And then there's a couple of ways we can do this. You might want to have, actually let's do it this way. So I want to do void start. I'm going to have a method here called start countdown. Now the reason why I'm doing it this way is because to do remove in production. This is for debug only. So we're only wanting to do this in debug. In reality, what you do is you would get to the end of the level, the player would die, you would then call start countdown, and then the countdown would then do the countdown. But for our purposes for this video, we're just going to put it inside the start So that's the first thing. So we're going to create a public void start countdown. And then inside start countdown, we're going to say start coroutine do countdown. And then we'll have a public int seconds equals 10. So we'll set it to 10 seconds. So this start countdown will actually fire off this coroutine here called do countdown. So we also need to have public void stop countdown. And for that, all we're going to do is stop all coroutines. That's all. So we're going to stop all the coroutines on this particular game object. And because this game object is only going to have one coroutine, potentially one coroutine running and only one coroutine running, we're not going to be stopping anything else. So our do countdown, because it's a coroutine, we're going to use our IEnumerator do countdown. And you see that we don't have IEnumerator there because I just removed using system.collections. So now that I have collections up there, we'll see we've got that there. And I'm going to say for int I equals seconds, I is greater than 0, I minus minus. So we're going backwards, we're counting down from 10 to 0. Actually, let's make that less than or equal to 0. And then we're going to do yield return new wait for seconds 1. And I'm going to say countdown. Oops. I'm going to say seconds. Actually, you know, it's going to be I, isn't it? So I'm going to say countdown.text equals I.toString. And so what that's going to do is that's going to start at 10. So, or whatever the value of seconds is, so 10. And while it's not equal, while it's greater than -1, effectively, that's what that means there. I'm going to subtract 1 from that value, and then, sorry, that's going to happen afterwards. I'm going to wait for 1 second. I'm going to draw the new countdown value, and then I'm going to subtract 1 from that value, and it's going to keep going. It's a for loop. Pretty sure everybody knows what a for loop is by now. It's just that we're going backwards, so that's the difference. So normally when you see a for loop, you'll see it as I++. We're going backwards, so we want to do minus minus. And that's all we need to do for our script here to get it to do the countdown part of it. So I'm going to do countdown controller, and it says countdown is that. So I'm going to say inside here, if countdown equals null, countdown equals get component text. So what that's going to mean is that this script can be used in two ways. First of all, you can have this as a separate script sitting in some other object, some other place, and then you can assign it a text component, or you can put it on an object that already has a text component and it will pick up that value. You may want to early out and check to see if it, if that value there is still null, and if it is, then you might want to, not do anything. It's up to you to put in error checking. This is, like I said, this is just a quick and dirty test, or quick and dirty implementation of this. Okay, so now we should get this. So it's going to say 10, and then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And when it gets to 0, it'll stop because it's not going to do anything anymore. Now, the tricky bit is we want it to actually do something when it hits 0. So I am going to create, this is the public class here. I'm going to create another class here. I'm going to say public timer run out event. And that, sorry, public class timer run out event is a Unity event. Now, what is this Unity event? Well, if I do using Unity engine.events, an event is like a click for a button, or when you change the value in a slider, it's something that happens. So we're going to mark this as being serializable, which means we need system, so I'm just going to add system.serializable there. And that's all we want to do, is we just want to have this. Now, why don't we just have a Unity event? Well, it turns out that we can't actually just have a Unity event, because Unity event is an abstract class. Why is it? I checked this, I checked this the other day there, and I'm pretty sure it was an abstract class. Maybe it was another class that was there. Huh. Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll keep it as this. But what we want to do is we want to have a field of this type here. So I'm going to say public field timer runout event. So I'm going to say public timer runout event. I'm going to say timer runout event. And I'm going to mark that as being serialized field, which tells Unity that I want to remember the contents of this field. Now when I go back into the inspector, and you'll notice that I still have my 10 here, you'll see that we now have timer runout event and the list is empty. And the reason why the list is empty is because we haven't applied anything to it. We're going to apply something to it just now. So hopefully everybody's following this. So there's lots of ways you can do this. This is just one particular way that I think is a kind of neat, cool way. Maybe you didn't think about using events, but it's something you might think about. But you can see that it says timer runout event here, so it gives it the actual name of the event. So if we just did that as a Unity event, it would just be, well, what's a Unity event? At least here it's a named event. It says this is a timer runout event. So the designer knows that when they look at this, it says, okay, this is going to get run when the timer runs out. So it's perfect. So inside our quit or continue controller, we're going to have two methods. We're going to have public void continue game and public void quit game. And that is the only two events that we actually need. But we do also need to have public countdown controller, countdown controller. And the reason why we want that is because we want to say countdown controller dot stop countdown. We want to be able to stop these countdowns. Now, why did I make a separate one? Why don't I just have stop all coroutines? Well, you might want to do other things in here as well. You might want to do like a fade out. You might want to do like a whole bunch of other things. So it's sometimes better to do that. If all you want to do is just stop all coroutines, then just call stop all coroutines. But occasionally you might want to do something else in there. So that's why I added that functionality there. Okay, and we're going to say here to do continue print continue the game, and here we're going to say to do quit print quit. And that's all we need in there. So a very, very simple controller. What I will do though is I'll say public button default button void awake, and let's add our UI component here because I want to be able to set the default button, and the way I need to do that is I need to do using Unity engine.event system event systems, I think. Event system dot current dot set selected game object default button dot game object. So I want to be able to set the default button, so the one that's actually selected. And the way we know it's selected is if I go back to button here and this other button here, and I choose the highlighted color, I will choose that as a kind of green color, so that we can see which one is actually highlighted. And what else do I want to do? I don't want to do anything just now. I just want to test this out. So I'm going to add a component to our canvas here, and that is going to be our quit or continue controller. And you see that it needs a countdown controller, so I'm going to drag in my countdown controller, which is on my text1, which is on this object here. And it also needs a default button, so I'm going to drag the first button onto here. So now our UI is going to look like this. Did I choose the wrong thing there? Highlighted color. I thought highlighted color would have been that. Oh, no. Wait, what? Oh, because it's an awake. I want to make that in start. Whoops. Yeah, let's put that in start. Because if we put it in awake, it's probably going to be too early for it. We just need to let everything warm up. There you go, that's better. So you can see that yes is highlighted. It also means that you can use the arrow keys as well to go between the two of them. And so when we click on something, we want to call the controller there. So I'm going to select both buttons and do my usual trick here. So I'm going to do add to list, and then I'm going to choose my canvas like so, and then I'm going to click on X there, so you can see the canvas is selected there, and then I'm going to go down to quit or continue controller, and I'm just going to choose quit game. And then for my default button, I'm going to choose that as continue game. Now here's the trick. I'm going to go back up to this value, this object here that's got our countdown, and you see that we have our list is empty here. I'm going to click on plus, and then I'm going to choose the same object, so I'm going to choose canvas again, and then I'm going to choose quit or continue controller, and I'm going to choose quit game. So when we run the game now, I'm going to keep the console open. So when we click on yes, you see it says continue the game. When we click on no, you see it says quit. But you'll notice that it's the timer has now stopped as well when we've done that. If we let the timer run down, should have set it to 3 seconds for this. Talk amongst ourselves. How's things? Enjoying the channel? So we can see that now when we get to 0, it doesn't do anything. And the reason why it doesn't do anything is because we never set it up to do anything. So that was a bit of a anticlimax. So at the very end here, what we want to do is we want to say what we called it timer runout event. So we want to say timer runout event dot invoke. And so this invoke method will call all the subscribers to this event. And seeing as how we only have one subscriber, which is the no button, when the timer runs down, it will call quit. I'll explain why my thoughts behind why this is a good idea. We have two scripts in here. The first one controls the flow of the program, so whether we quit or whether we continue the game or not. And you see that it's just done quit there without me interacting with it at all. Just to prove I'll do it again and take my hands off the keyboard and put my hands up here just to prove I'm not doing anything. You can look down here. So I feel like bit of a plum, but whatever. It's a separation of the responsibilities. So each object does one thing really, really well. The first object, all its job is to do is count down, and when it gets to 0, it calls an event. That's all it does. The second object's job is to control the program flow, whether we're continuing with the game or whether we're going to quit the game. And so these two objects don't really need to know much about each other. They can call a couple of methods, like the this quit or continue controller. This is really the controller for the whole form, so it's good that it knows how to use the countdown controller. That's okay. It doesn't really interact with anything directly. It uses this stop countdown rather than like stop all coroutines. But the countdown controller, it has no reference to the outside world whatsoever. The only thing it has is it has this timer runout event, and that's the only part that you can extend that object that says, okay, when this timer runs out, do something else. And you could use this timer for anything else that you wanted to do. For example, it's a countdown controller, and you control, like once you get rid of that from the debug, you control when it starts and when it stops. Okay, so let's say you enter a room and then you set a countdown timer that waits for 3 seconds and then starts to spawn enemies. You could quite easily have use this code in here, and that's nothing to do with UI. That's all to do with just the event system that's going on here. So you don't need to use the event system inside just the UI. You can also use it inside your own programs anyway. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. And if it doesn't, please leave a comment below. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I thought it was, helpful for that one person out there. And hopefully for other people as well. Anyway, sorry, it's been a long week. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, apart from this bit, obviously the bit where I kind of tail away at the end, please subscribe. Follow me. I'm on Twitter at Codehoose, CODEHOOSE, CODEHOOSE. On Twitter. I also have a Facebook page. I'll link those below. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, thumbs down. Let me know if you didn't like the video, why you didn't like the video. Let me know if you did like the video. No one is holding a gun to your head. You do not need to subscribe. However, I do appreciate it if you do subscribe. It helps the channel. Also, liking and sharing really helps the channel as well. So if you wouldn't mind sharing on Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus is still a thing. Who knew? Mastodon, anything you want to share on, that would be great as well. But again, no pressure to any of these things. And also, my game's out. The game that I did a video is now live on the Google Play Store. So if you want to try it out, it doesn't cost anything. It's got ads in it though. But if you want to try that out, then the link is also below. So the blatant advert again, but whatever. Okay, I'm going to go now because I'm ranting. So I will catch you in the next video, and keep coding. Bye-bye.